Hello and welcome, all friends and devotees of yoga and Buddhism. Today is Saturday, June the 22nd, 2019. Saturday, June the 22nd, 2019. And I'm just going to proceed with a treasure that I discovered. I always compare myself here to the great British archaeologist Howard Carter, who discovered the golden Tutankhamun. He was an Egyptian archaeologist. A British archaeologist who did archaeology research in Egypt for ancient Egyptian, kings. And during their excavation process of ancient Egyptian stuff, they just ran into this tomb, golden tomb, all gold. It was an endowment of ancient king, a boy king, very young king called Tutankhamun. You can research that and do the remaining of the job yourself. This is not an Egyptology class, but when I discovered these golden treasures of wisdom, I had the same feeling that Mr. Carter had when he discovered the treasure of gold in Egypt, which was the golden Tutankhamun. That's why I keep comparing myself in this discovery to Mr. Carter. It is a fantastic treasure that I have discovered. And the only way you can understand the gold that I have discovered here is when you delve into it to find out. This is not material gold. Mr. Carter, the British archaeologist, discovered material gold in Egypt. Okay, the gold I discovered here is the gold of wisdom. This is gold. And when you see the feeling that Mr. Carter had when he and his team, when they entered into that tomb and found gold, is exactly the feeling I had when I ran into these golden treasures of wisdom, which I found with the great Master Singyun. Precisely, this is golden wisdom. So there is wisdom. I mean, Tutankhamun is not the only Egyptian king that was buried in Egypt. But of all the kings of Egypt that was buried, Tutankhamun is most golden. His own tomb was all gold. And in the same way, there are so many words that have been written in history, so many books, so many writings, so many sacred books. But what I discovered here is what Mr. Carter discovered in Egypt. This is gold. Gold, just gold. That's what I call it. It is treasure that I found. And of course, any person who comes, when you listen to my class, you listen to what I'm saying, you hear, and I unfold and expound this wisdom to you, you know that what you are receiving here is gold. Any questions in life that you may have of what to do in life, the answers, that's what this system answers. It addresses all questions all humans have on all issues. It's just golden. Okay? That's probably another class. So let me delve and you listen. And of course, when you come to my institute to try to listen to my lectures, I'd like you to always have a pen and paper, ready so that you can jot points of wisdom you pick as we proceed. And then later on, when you go into your own private study or private library, you can reflect and meditate and then begin to, to really receive guidance. This is gold. And we will still be publishing more on these findings, what we found from our research. It took me 2 decades, 20 years of my life of delving, seeking wisdom, universal wisdom, to run into these golden treasures, just like Mr. Howard Carter must have done when he ran into gold in Egypt. This is gold. In wisdom, that's what this is. There are many types of people in society, whether they are good or bad, kind or harmful. One could say there are still various grades within each type. For instance, top grade people are capable and even-tempered. The second best are those who are capable but have a bad temper. The third grade are those who have a good temper but are incapable. And the worst are very bad-tempered without ability. In addition, there are 4 more categories to consider in grading ourselves. 1. Okay, have your pen and paper now, ready to write. These are what I call the golden keys. The golden keys from the great Master Hsing-yun. And for those who are kind of running into this class for the first time, Master Hsing-yun is one of the greatest personalities of Buddhism alive today. In his 90s, very elderly, now he's in his 90s. He founded the Fo Guangsheng. The Fo Guangsheng is the largest Chinese Buddhist organization in the world. They've been all over the world building universities, hundreds of temples and institutes, everywhere. And of course, they built the first Buddhist foundation in Africa, in Bronkhorstpoort, South Africa, the Nanhua Buddhist Foundation. You might want to visit it online and see. It's a fantastic, giant establishment, as good as a university itself down there. And it has the African Buddhist Seminary, actually, now graduating Africans, the first batch of Africans who've come to study Buddhism. It's a giant foundation in Bronkhorstpoort, Johannesburg, South Africa. It was one of the great works of the great Master Hsing-yun, as well as the University of the West here in Los Angeles, California, which is one of the most affordable institutions of higher learning universities in the United States of America as well. So these are just some, and so many other universities back home. He built Taiwan, Philippines, just name them, Australia. Master Hsing-yun has done so much just to sort of give newcomers an idea of who Master Hsing-yun is, who was in possession of these treasures, great treasures, at least who expounded upon them, who developed them before I discovered them. Okay. 1. First grade people emphasize trust and keep their promises. First grade, okay? First grade people emphasize trust and keep their promises. Reputation and trust are the intangible assets of people. A promise is worth 1,000. A promise is worth 1,000 taels, okay, of gold. Okay, a promise is worth 1,000 pieces of gold. Just call it that. Is a popular Chinese saying that emphasizes the weight and value of a promise. Some people are very serious about their reputation and keep to their promises very strictly. Sometimes, in order to protect their credibility, they will give all they have despite the difficulty in doing so. They are willing to sacrifice everything in order to keep a promise. People who adhere strictly to their trustworthiness and promises belong to the first grade. 2. Second grade people are open and candid. If people can be honest, if people can be open, honest, and at ease in showing each other a kind, pure, and selfless heart, they are raising their character and their lives to a higher level. Therefore, people who are always open and candid with a selfless heart are true exemplars of cultivation and models of courage for us to emulate. 3. Third grade people are intelligent and articulate. Some people have glib tongues and are intelligent and capable. However, they lack restraint and integrity as they like to show off their keen awareness. Okay? Their knowledge and their talents when they speak or work. They want to show people they are more capable, stronger, and better than those around them. People like that may be intelligent and articulate, but they are shallow and immature in conducting themselves. Therefore, they can only be classified as the third grade. 4. I hope you guys are writing quickly, or at least taking points. Just picking some points, using your smartness, pick some points. Fourth grade people are selfish and self-absorbed. When people only think of themselves, their achievements are limited. But if they think of others, they can make broader connections. A key to conducting ourselves is being mindful of others and their needs. Being mindful of others and their needs. People who only have themselves on their minds all the time leave no room for the needs of others and will inevitably mistreat others. Selfish people are considered fourth grade because they only care about themselves with no regard for others. Now, of course, what the Buddha did after completing all his teachings was to summarize. He had a great summary which we call the Dhammapada. I have translated the Dhammapada, of course, into African language, and I think that was the first Buddhist sacred book, sacred writings that was translated into any African language at all. I translated the Dhammapada over a decade, over 10 years ago into Asan language. Well, the Dhammapada is an English too. I have an English Dhammapada. I did my Dhammapada online is in English, it's in Chinese, English, and Asan. It's in 3 languages. You can always find it. Just Google Christopher Aburime, or Seodion Aburime Dhammapada. You find the Dhammapada. It's on Google. It's online there. What the Buddha did was to summarize the whole Buddhism into that Dhammapada. That's the point I was trying to really make here, and try to let you know we have this Dhammapada out there. The Dhammapada summarizes everything about Buddhism. It tells you in a nutshell what the Buddhist morality is. That's what the Dhammapada does. 423 brilliant verses of Buddhist ideas. It just tells you brilliantly what Buddhism is in a nutshell. So once you go through those 423 verses of the Dhammapada, you have an idea what Buddhism is. That's really what that brilliant book is all about. That's what Master Singyung does here. He doesn't leave anybody in the dark. He really brings you to light. Folks, we have been thinking what we've been talking about for the past 12 minutes. Here it is in a highlight nutshell. It's highlighted. It's in a nutshell. This is the point well made, so that when you go back to your library, to your study, to reflect and meditate, you know exactly what we're talking about is highlighted, okay? So, in a nutshell, this is the point of wisdom. The biggest victory in life is not in defeating our enemies, but overcoming our own shortcomings. Master Singyung writes in summary, the glory of life does not lie in being praised by our contemporaries, but setting an example for future generations. Therefore, the value of life depends on our own efforts. As long as we have a sense of responsibility, we can be considered capable. On the other hand, no matter how strong our abilities may be, if we have no sense of responsibility, we will only be considered mediocre. In grading ourselves, we need to evaluate ourselves in order to see which grade we belong to. This is the fantastic work Master Singyung does. So when you go to your reflections and your meditations, go to your private study, your private library, you can actually go through these things and say, which grade do I belong to? First grade, second grade, third grade, or fourth grade? And then, not only that, you can say, okay, you know what? I'm going to go from fourth grade to third grade. I'm going to make that effort. And then, I'm going to go from third to second. I'm going to go from second to first. You can actually work on improving yourself. We all are here to improve ourselves, folks. That's the work of life. We are all, if there were no challenges in life, I presume the whole world would be a dumb place or a dull place. Life would be very dull if we did not have to sort of develop ourselves. You have developing countries, even advanced countries. I am from both. I'm a Nigerian American. Nigeria is a developing country. Excellent example here. Okay, I'm both. Nigeria is a developing country. United States is an advanced country. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. I'm a Nigerian American. I'm Nigerian by parentage. My dad and my mom, Nigerians. I'm American by birth. I was born in Lincoln, Nebraska, and my dad was doing his PhD in mathematics. My father is a professor of mathematics back in Nigeria today, and my mom also. They are both university authorities, university professors. Okay, so that's the point I'm making. So I'm Nigerian American. So in the same way, that's, it's dual. Okay, that's what it is. So in wisdom, you're trying to go from grade 4 to grade 3, grade 3 to grade 2, and grade 2 to grade 1. Okay, life is a developmental process. Nigeria is a developing country. United States an advanced country. So I have both. I have the developing country and I have the advanced country. Okay, so in your reflections and your meditations, you try to take yourself, you challenge yourself at every point in life. Okay, nobody in this world is perfect, and I don't think anybody's ever going to be perfect. So life is to strive, just keep working on improving yourself and always have the secret of optimism. And I'll tell you right now what it is. Every day, in every way, we are getting better and better, better and better. Okay? So cheers, guys. Namo Amitofo.